First, let's get the bottom line out of the way. The market seems like it's going to be going down irregardless of us having a rather bullish day today. I know how it seems, and those who are having more bullish tendencies given how their positions are right now, and they would rather see a bullish market, a bullish behavior. Irregardless, the market does not care, doesn't know who you are, does not care about your retirement plan, and this is what we're here for. The bottom line is that the market still has the intention to go down. The overall momentum is still overall bearish. Those who want to understand the nitty-gritty and why exactly I'm saying what I'm saying, stay with me for 5 minutes and you're going to get the broader idea. Of course, if you really want to get the advanced sort of understanding, the in-depth, proper understanding, join my community Discord, join my one-on-one academy, and I'll teach you one-on-one properly how it all works, how to measure it, what to know, and what to understand, how to understand where the market is headed. Now, let's get into this real quick. 1 minute chart. Objectively, there are a couple of nice things that happened today. First of all, we have generated, although we've generated a small gap on the price on the market open, the price action has closed this gap pretty much immediately, of course, while testing and acknowledging some of the support and resistance levels that we are very well aware of, 6835.36 in this instance, then rallied up all the way to what is known as 6875.26. As you can tell, was sort of stuttering at it, then moved down, got entangled with that 6861.84, and then ended up closing, fulfilling the gap we have had since the switch from last week into the third, basically into the beginning of this week, and we saw a gap was generated. That gap was quite a large one. That gap now finally was finalized, and so we don't really have a lot to worry about above our heads. We do have a little bit of a leftover at 6,910-ish dollars, if you will. To be super precise, it's 6,908.88. This is exactly where we have the ceiling of that gap. Now, can we fill in that gap? We're gonna see. Do we still have enough momentum to move as high as this? Arguably, to give you the bottom line, yes, we potentially do have the momentum necessary for that. Does that cancel out the idea that we're still moving downwards in an overall downwards trend? No, it does not. As you can see, we have sort of a rough sketch here of the support resistance. We have a lower highs, basically lower tops as we're progressing, and it's not going to be out of the realm of possibility if we will still end up closing this gap, potentially generating another lower high, taking a little bit of a different angle, different approach, something that happens when the cyclicality comes to an end. The price action becomes more and more steeper. First of all, it flattens out as we saw for many months, and then it becomes more and more steeper to its right side, to its back end, if you will, which that back end, of course, is very bearish. Now, 30 minutes, ooh, my bad, 30 minutes objectively is bullish, in bullish territory right now, as you can tell, and that's why we're saying, and it is still objectively bullish, although it is squeezing the leftovers of that bullish momentum, right? Which does confirm the idea that we may end up still retesting that 6900 area, 6908 in our instance, fulfilling that gap. It might not necessarily happen today, and it might not necessarily happen at all. Why are we saying that? Because as you can see, the further out we go, 45 minutes for example, basically already at convergence, potentially giving way to our more bearish sentiment. Although our hourly is not nowhere near done yet, which does confirm the potential of the movement upside, testing that these levels and fulfilling the gap as we said. Now, 4 hours on the other hand is bearish, with potential convergence at 20, which is the border edge at which we become oversold, right? Bearish on steroids, if you will. And then if you look at the daily, daily is still very bearish. We are moving towards what appears to be some level of confluence. This still may disperse as we're going to get more and more bearish price action coming through. Why that can happen? Well, simply when we have convergence and finally filled in that gap, we're potentially going to continue downwards. Why are we thinking that? Simply because our monthly is bearish, well, weekly is bearish, and our monthly is extremely bearish. Weighting already has become more and more divergent from one another. That divergence, the larger it gets, the more it indicates the strength of the force that is dominant at the time. In our instance, of course, bearish, and we know that our 3 months is moving towards convergence. So basically all along we've been moving towards that overall finalization of a very large cycle, and we can see the evidence for it. And those who will not listen or pay attention to what the market is trying to tell them, of course, will end up sort of paying the price. Many of these people get used to this volatility, to this emotional roller coaster of up and down, resulting in them thinking that, well, it can continue forever and any and every drop will have a subsequent correction. That's not how things work. That's why it's so important to understand the cyclicality, that well, the role that cyclicality plays in all of this, understand the rules that the cycles are subject to, and why they end up appearing the way they do. The bottom line is that once you get too comfortable with this idea of the market going up and down, it will exactly then, at that most unexpected moment, will simply break down far further than you are willing to execute your positions. If you're not willing to execute your positions at the shallow dips the market takes on a daily basis here and there, guess what? If it takes a couple more steps lower, you're not going to be willing to execute then. Of course, you're going to be relying on hope and thinking, well, the market usually goes up, so it must go up at some point. I'm just going to DCA, and that will result with you having sort of your price average follow with you, and well, the end result will be is that you're going to have a bad average going into the following cycle, no matter how you flip it. But then again, this is not financial advice. You know, everyone who's in this sphere at this point should be an adult, or an adult and responsible enough to understand that, you know, their portfolio in their own hands. The more wise people in the industry do not try to time the market. We look for destinations and overall support and resistance levels. We basically understand the structure within which the overall momentum is moving and fluctuating within. For example, right now we are testing these obvious support and resistance levels that have been acknowledged many times, multiple times, basically from one side or another. That's why I keep saying support and resistance, because well, any one of these levels can function as both support or resistance. It just depends on the daily sort of price action that we get, and that results in what you see, right? Pretty simple. And well, big surprise, once we are within this very same levels, we end up testing the very same levels over and over and over again, while generating some new ones that are weaker than the major ones. For example, gaps are not as strong or as major as people think they are. In fact, gaps are more of a side effect, and this is exactly maybe a good opportunity to mention that not all gaps not always going to get closed. We are sort of rolling with the punches. What you need to understand, that at some point we may end up with having, in fact, a whole set of gaps roughly at the ranges where we're at, and the price action going downwards. It doesn't necessarily have to correct to close these gaps. Gaps are a side effect. And if the momentum and the cyclicality dictates that the price action is about to break, irregardless of these gaps, there will be not enough momentum generated by the magnetism, the attraction that the maybe mostly robotic systems have to fill in these gaps. It simply will not be enough. In fact, these very robotic systems will pay attention to the far stronger signals and forces at play. And so if the market's tendency and the cyclicality dictates that we're about to go down, although we have a gap above us to get filled, it's simply not going to happen, not at that time. We of course do roll with the punches and follow up, so that the traffic as it's ongoing right in front of us, and that's why sometimes we can tell that, well, certain gaps will get filled before we continue heading downwards. In this instance, as we can see, some of the gaps got filled. We still have another one on top of us, which may get filled in and may not. It's not a necessity. In fact, this gap will get filled in if you sort of want to imagine that the price action will go down eventually, as Greg says. When it does cross back, it can eventually fill in that gap. In fact, we've seen that happen during various periods, that it can take up to several years to close, you know, a tiny little leftover gap. So not a big deal. Gaps are side effects, or ripple effects if you will, not major motive movements. Okay, treat them as such. Now, basically that's kind of the bottom line. Another thing maybe I want to mention is that Palantir, I've been just warning, and I said I'll try to drop in the video that I spoke about it just recently, when everybody were worried and thinking, oh, Palantir, you know, that's it from here on out to 100, and I literally said it's probably going to correct, and I aimed roughly at around that 140, even 150 area, which we see we're roughly at right now. But that's probably what it's going to be. There is still no, let's say, a viable, solid reasoning to think, because there is still plenty of bullish momentum left in the system. This still may interpret to the movement roughly to around 159. Handle again, as you can see, both support and resistance levels. Those are two major support and resistance levels. That's why they're marked in red in my instance. That's 157 and 158. 157.86, 158.42. Basically, those could be that could be the range where we end up testing. As you can tell, sort of correlate that with that, and then the momentum will continue breaking. Big surprise, we are testing and moving over from a sideways channel to what appears to be more of a downwards inclination sort of, and we do have multiple support resistance levels within that vicinity. That's why it feels so choppy back and forth. The overall result, and I warned about this is going to be misleading, basically a trap sort of thing that is going to mislead people to think that, yeah, that's it, we're going to go up, and it's going to result in a downwards price action. I'll probably make a dedicated video talking about that very issue at hand, basically calling it a trap. All right, so that is it. That's all I wanted to tell you about the market today. Before you guys go, don't forget please to like and subscribe. All the links are in the description below. Definitely do follow me on X if you can. I now have an X page where I post all sorts of you know, sometimes memes, sometimes shmemes, sometimes I complain to the YouTube team. Team YouTube, seriously do something about this. My channel is getting badly discriminated. Memes, and everything in between, right? You know, I post my videos as well. Basically, you know, just follow me, it will help a lot. Definitely join. This is tremendously important. Before I forget, I decided to keep the discount, the $50 discount. Right now, you can join the community at a 50% discount. Okay, so listen to me very carefully. Membership options, right? If you go to the membership options, you'll find this $50 tier, which, by the way, you can make it even cheaper if you click that little clicky thingy, right? That pay annually, basically pay annually instead of paying every month $50, you'll end up paying $40. Do not join through iOS, through the Apple sort of store system, because it charges 25% on top of this price. So if you're getting a different price, it's commissions by Apple or whatever. I have nothing to do with this. This is the price, right? This is well, you know, the offering, if you will. This price will change in a couple of weeks, just 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks, remember, 14 days. I'm gonna change this thing from being $50 to being $70. If you lock in the current price, you'll become a member of the community. You'll be able to join Discord, of course. When you do join Discord, and you will go through this stage when you'll be in this channel, don't be like these people who get the public role but basically are stuck within these two channels. There are instructions how to link your accounts, exactly how it all works. Okay, here left click me. If you want to apply to the academy, the one-on-one academy, I have several spots openings right now. Join in. It's pretty simple. You go to need help, right, to basically do a support channel, and press the academy application, right? You click this button, the red button, and you will get basically me within you know, at maximum couple of hours. I'll get to you and I'll talk to you. We'll have a conversation. I'll describe what it entails, what it means, how much it costs, and everything. Right now the academy is 60% discounted. There is no better time to sign up to the one-on-one academy. There will never be a better time to sign up to the academy, simply because the prices will go up. We'll appreciate why, because the discounts will be off. Currently discounted, I repeat, both the Patreon and both the one-on-one academy are discounted. That will give you access to the Discord. The Discord, I post daily updates to my members. In fact, here it is, how we were going through. For example, some will read this, oh, Greg, you're wrong. The market didn't break exactly where you said. That's not the intention. The intention is to show overall behavior. And yes, well, I did warn, actually, if you pay attention, if you go back to the Discord itself, you'll realize that That's just something I was referring to about something else. Once done, it will go hard down, depending on what we'll be able to squeeze into the session price action wise, right? And in fact, if you now a bit of sideways, you see, so there is a little bit more to it. And if you read just one page out of an entire book, guess what? You're not going to get the full context of what the book is trying to tell you. Again, the support resistance levels are very well known. My members get daily updates and descriptions of what it is, what does it mean, and so on and so on. Of course, weekly meetings. I do know right now it's a little bit more problematic because, well, if you guys know, I live in Israel, and I've been running half of the day back and forth to the shelter, back and forth, back and forth. In fact, it's kind of amazing. I was able to make this entire video without a siren going off, which reminds me, let's check real quick that I'm not missing anything. I'm not. It's pretty insane. I did post some footage, and of course do follow. I will try to post interesting footage if I can. I've got plenty of footage of sirens, rockets, and whatnot, but it's not sufficient to actually be visible. Sometimes it's more about noise. I'm just from my building is set in such a location that I don't really get to see it, which is technically more safe. I can risk myself and get you guys footage, which you can find online, really, but there's plenty of rockets that fly right above my head, and it's pretty intense, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, that's that bittersweet price that we have to pay for freeing Iran from the tyrannic leadership that they have been under for the last 50 years. We are glad that we can do whatever we can. It's kind of unfortunate we already had some lives lost. I think around 20 altogether, around I think even more so at this stage. Plenty of public and private property damage, you just name it. Plenty of unpleasant things that sort of came about as a subsequent ripple effect to this war. Unpleasant, but must be done. What else? Of course, like I said, don't forget to like and subscribe, and when you are on the channel, don't forget to ring the bell. It's very important. Look at that beautiful mug. Oh, you can see it. Look at that beautiful mug. So don't forget, when you do end up on my channel, you go right down here and you ring the bell, you put notifications on all, otherwise you'll not be informed. Okay, you see, if you'll not be informed, you'll not know. You'll think of sort of my reading of the short-term traffic right in front of us right now, and you'll not be in the know that things maybe have changed or have adjusted in some way. Okay, so that's kind of important to follow up. What else did I want to mention? Shout out to all the new members, by the way. Shout out to Tom, by the way, that is helping me a lot with setting up and doing all the changes that you guys have seen recently. Shout out to my admins. Shout out to the academy members. I love you all. Thank you all for the nice comments that you guys post with regards to my safety and all that. I tremendously appreciate it, and I do try to keep safe. I promise, I really do. That's it. I think that is all. I'll see you on the next one, boys and girls. Sorry for being a little bit discombobulated today. That's the side effect of running away from rockets half of the day and just kind of being worried for my life to some extent. It is a thing. Love you all. I'll see you on the next one. I'll try to keep you all up to speed and up to date with regards to the market and what my expectations are to what we're seeing. But overall, like I said, bottom line is pretty simple, and we're seeing that all over the market, and I warned about this. It's going to be more of a trap sort of behavior. The market will appear like it's going to go up, but in reality will result in going downwards, and we can see that all over the market, whether it's through Tesla, whether we see it through Palantir, whether we see it through the SPX. Everything sort of stabilizing a little bit and gives you the appearance of positive behavior, when in reality this is just a smallish correction. It's kind of, I seen a meme that talked about exactly about that. You were down 75%, now the market is up 5%, and we're back, baby, kind of thing, right? So no, unfortunately that's not the reality. The reality is that the market still appears to be going downwards, but although very, very gradually. But the bigger picture is that get prepared. The market will soon take a, again, soon is very relative, right? To each their own, sort of the way they understand this. But the market will take a deeper dive that most are unprepared, and it will not correct, unlike what most people will expect it to do. That's it. Shout out to those who stayed that far and listened to my ramblings. Love you all. See you on the next one. Peace for now.